Hello, and welcome to the Living Boldly Show, where we inspire you to live out your big and bold dreams. What we want to really talk about is we know it's the new year, right? But what makes a year new? Special about a new year, and every all the fuss that we make around a year. What is so special? And I think I want to start with this, my illustration of this. Like, I love journals. I love buying a new journal. This is me. I'm in a store, especially if, they have books there, and I see a journal. I'm gonna pick one up, and it's interesting the way I treat the journal. Like, I would get new sets of pens for the journal. I would, when I'm writing in that new journal, I'll use my best handwriting, with the journal, because it's a new journal. It's like a new, fresh page, fresh, nice looking, very attractive journal. So I'm extra, careful with the journal when I'm using it. And I feel like that's how most of us actually treat a new year. We think, okay, this is brand new, this is special. Let's go, put on our very best, getting off with the year. So really the question we have is, yes, it's amazing to treat that journal that way or that new year that way, but what really makes a year new? And I'm going to throw that question back to you.
Honestly, I love the fact that you said when we get a journal, our first inclination is to treat it nicely. We are writing in it with your best handwriting, and it just reminds me of when I was in school when we get new notebooks. Same way, like the first page fresh, you have your lines ruled properly, everything. But as you get to the middle of the term, when life begins to happen, we have a tendency to just default to a certain setting. And for me, that's where I'm going to pick it up from to say what makes a year new. A year is not new just because we turned a page in the calendar. A year is new because we choose and decide to make a year new, right? And back to that illustration of having a new notebook where you're treating it nicely and all of that. Why do we always go back to a setting? What is our default setting? And I just want to pick you from there because if we are going to make a year new, then we are going to have to stop looking at a new year as something that is delicate because it is just a new year. We have to ensure that we become that default setting. So your default setting is the good setting. So for example, if you're starting a new year off and you have this amazing desire in you, for example, that you wanted to start to work out every day, example, you have to see yourself as that person who is living a healthy life, therefore you work out. The reason is because if you want it to truly be a new year that is great and epic for you, you have to see yourself as that person. Your default setting has to be that Olusheye is a person who lives healthy. Therefore, she can only make healthy choices. Healthy choices in what she's eating, healthy choices in how she's exercising, how she's working out, healthy choices in the kind of things she's listening to, how she's meditating and things like that. My default setting has to be the person that can make that goal happen. Otherwise, what will happen? It's going to be like that notebook you use in school, where it's the middle of the term, you're tired, and you just revert to an old way of doing things. Your way of doing things, who you need to become, has to be the right person. So that even on a regular day when you're tired, who you are is a person that is living healthy. So there's no other way to go. Your default setting is healthy living, therefore you make healthy choices. I think that's where the issue usually is. We are trying to set goals and accomplish those goals without becoming the kinds of people, making our default setting the default setting of being those kinds of people. For me, that's what makes a year new. That your default setting becomes the new. That's it.
And I really, really love what you said about the default setting. And I'm sure some people are listening, like, you know what? My default setting, I mean, using the weight loss, for example, is I do not want to exercise. I do not want to eat healthy and all of that. But, this is the one thing that inspires me. And it's always so interesting. I'm like, I have a default setting that, when I wake up in the morning, and especially if I know I'm heading out, I'm going to brush my teeth. That's a default setting. And I know that if I have to step out of the house without brushing my teeth, which rarely happens, I am by default going to avoid talking to anyone. You know what I mean? And this default setting is not something that I was born with. Somebody trained me that way, to know that I need to brush my teeth every time I head out of the house. And so there are things that can be learned. And so rather than, running off and going along and say, you know what, like that new journal, you just got that brand new journal, you got that set of pens, you're putting on your nice handwriting, and you're just writing on. And you know that when someone turns to the middle of the page, the color coding derails, the handwriting derails. Rather than jumping into, okay, it's a new year and I want to do something new. First of all, you start with you creating that identity for yourself, defining who you want to be in a new year, and saying, you know what, this is who I want to be, and what would it take to be that person before you start setting those goals for yourself, right? And when you're talking about school, I remember I can think of a couple of people in my class growing up that had really nice, neat notebooks. Oh my goodness, these people's handwriting on point. Those are the notes you wanna take home. You wanna ask the person, can I use your notes for something, because it's just so nicely done. And that's because they decided to be that person, and they help themselves every day to ensure that they're that person. And I feel like that's what we're talking about today, in terms of who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? It's not what do you want to do, it's who do you want to be. And we put a lot of pressure and a lot of attention on what we want to do, as opposed to who we want to be. So now we've highlighted that. What makes a new year new is the fact that you're willing to become. You're willing to become. So next question will be, how will I become? Thank you guys for telling me that that's what it is. But how will I become? And that's one of our promises at Living Boldly Inc. is we don't just tell you what you need to do, we actually show you how to do it. So how will I become that person? I'm going to throw it to you to share your number one tip for how you can become. And I'm going to share mine. And then I have a gift for you at the end. So back to you.
When it comes to becoming, I have seen that we have to remember that even though you have spent enough time in your life being who you are right now, there's always a day you can say, I want to be this other person. And you know what? There is no shortcut to becoming. You have to form a habit of becoming. When I tell people that I used to be such an inconsistent person, they find it very hard to believe, right? I mean, not even so many years back, I wasn't a very consistent person. Like, I literally said, I'm going to do this, and then I drop off along the way. I don't continue. But the moment I made up my mind that I don't want to be this person who starts and stops, who starts and stops, who starts and stops, that moment was when I decided to make a change. And what did I do? I knew that to become, I needed to start to consistently do until it becomes who I am naturally. So, example, everybody you see that works out, for example, that also, they even became champions at something. They started to practice. You have to practice to become. It will not naturally happen. So if you have to set your alarm and say, I'm going to get up, I'm the person who gets up in the morning when the alarm rings. I'm not the person who snoozes the alarm. You start to practice it. You may drop off along the way sometime, but you get up and start again. You discipline yourself to becoming. It's habit forming. And I think that one of the tools that I always love to talk about is atomic habits. When James Clear shares some of those things, you're like, it blows your mind, right? You become because you practice. You set yourself up for success by practicing. And the more you practice, the more delighted you are about who you're becoming, the easier it is to continue practicing because you feel good about yourself. Exercising, for example, you may not want to get up, but when you get up and you do it, you'll be like, wow, I did it today. Tomorrow you get up and do it. And then you become this person who works out. You say, oh, you saw people, I work out 3 times a week. How did you come to that conclusion? Because now you've done it consistently over a period of time. You become by practicing. You cannot become by shortcuts. You have to decide, this is who I want to be, and then you practice. Consistency is practice. After a while, your brain catches up and you find out you have formed that habit and it becomes who you are. You do it over a period of time, you become that person. There's no shortcut to it. That's my own number one tip. You have to practice it. That's it.
I think it's actually like a layer on top of that, because it's great. Like I can think of so many people around me that I've seen transform. These are people that would say, "Oh, I can't do this," and because they keep practicing over a period of time, now they're doing it. So I think my tip would be the fact that support. Support is key. I'm that one person that if I have a goal, that I set out a goal for myself, I'm just going to go out, I'm going to do it. And I realize that the moment that I, one, get the support that I need, it's easier to get the goal done. It's actually greater in terms of like accountability. When you were talking about, I'm that kind of person that is not consistent. I mean, there's some goals I have set for myself, and then after a while I drop off. But because I'm not accountable to anybody, nobody's gonna know. So nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna ask me questions. So I'm good. I'll just strike it off my list, and it's my own little secret, right? So having that support, it's key. So key. You heard what she said. You want to form that habit. You're excited. You're like, yeah, it's a new year. But then it's not what I have to do, is who I need to become. And then your first step is forming the habit to become that person. And then surrounding yourself with the right set of people that would help you to achieve what you set out for yourself. Because it's a whole transformation you're going through. And you thinking you're going to write it by yourself, it's amazing. Trust me, when you get the support that you need, then it's easier and faster and even sometimes smoother to get to where you want to be. And that leads me to the gift that I was going to share with you. Living Boldly Inc., what we believe, three things: activate, equip, inspire. We inspire through this kind of show, but we're going to equip you. And I wanted to share with you our Activate 90-day coaching program. What that coaching program is about is I'll tell you three things. I'll pass it over to Olusheye to tell you three things about the coaching program. But what it's about is, one, coaching. Why? Because we're both coaches and we've been coaching for years. And when I say years, it's been years we've been in this space. So coaching, the coaching you need to actually make this year, not just any other year, but the year that you need to achieve your goal. The coaching. You get the support. You're in a community of like-minded people going through whether the same stage or whether they're ahead of you or whether you are even ahead of them. You are in that community that allows you to thrive. And then the third thing is, it's a tried and tested mechanism that has worked with so many people over and over again, and that's what we're offering. So those are the three things about the Activate 90-day coaching boot camp, or you can call it coaching program, but know that it goes for 90 days and it activates you and gives you all that you need to achieve that goal. So over to you. Can you share just like three things about this Activate 90-day boot camp?
Well, so for me, I would say the first thing that it does for you is being a mindset shift. That's the first thing. It just kind of shifts your mindset to what is possible. Like when you hear other people share their experiences or who they want to become and how they are thriving, it helps you to see what is possible. And then the next thing I would say is that there's inspiration that comes from just being in the community. So for example, sometimes I found that when I have a problem, once I tell somebody else about the problem, as I'm articulating the problem to them, sometimes I see the solution. Like I don't even need to for anybody to coach me. I'm literally seeing the answers just by articulating what the problem is. By being in a space where you're getting coaching, and somebody is actually compelling you and asking you deep questions about what is stopping you from moving forward, you get inspiration just by articulating what the issues are. And the third thing I want to share is that you get clarity. There's something about setting a goal for yourself that it may look big and vague when you're putting it there and you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Being in a coaching environment helps you to set up the step-by-step plan to achieving your goals. We don't just leave you with, the what to do. We actually hold you by the hand and help you, okay, how can we break this goal down? I want to make $1 million this year. How can we break this down to month on month? What do you need to do? What are your streams of income that will help you to get this goal met? We help you break it down. We help you to see the blind spot that you don't see, right? And that's why it's important to not just be on your own trying to achieve a goal. Being in a community with other people supports you to live out your big and bold dream. So if I were you, I would find a way to get in.
And then that's amazing. I think just spending this few minutes and just talking about what makes the year new. Think about it. What makes it new? Why should this year be different? And how can you make it different? We've just shown you, what makes the year new, how you can make it different, and what the next step that you need to take right now. Sign up to the Activate 90-day bootcamp to ensure that this year it's not just going to be another new year just popping in, everybody's excited, but you actually run through right from January to December to make sure that you achieve your goals. So thank you so much for watching from me. But don't forget to go to
Yes.
www.livingboldlyinc.com/activate. But thank you so much, and we'll see you around. And that's how we were able to shoot the first video for season 2, 2023. Ha! Yay! Living